China has had a long history of vibrant culture and influential political presence. The written history of China first began in the Shang dynasty, which was over 3,000 years ago in 1600 BC. This country is an ancient civilization. The culture was created through a melting pot of different traditions from several small tribes. One of the most important figures in China's history was Emperor Qin Shi Huang. He started off as a regional leader in 246 BC and then became emperor 2 decades later. During his time as emperor, Qin Shi Huang unified China, standardized its culture, and implemented a new government. He eliminated the feudal system and divided China into states with one centralized government. The Great Wall of China was actually built by Qin Shi Huang, who was known for his love of extravagant structures. This landmark still stands today and is representative of the shift in culture and politics during his reign. Other important leaders like Kublai Khan, who changed the course of history by keeping China under Mongol rule, and Mao Zedong, who was the founding member of the Chinese Communist Party, both shaped China's past into what the country is like today. Although they were in power hundreds of years apart, their political power influenced how the country was able to progress. Philosophy was an enormous part of China's history. The most prominent philosophers such as Confucius, Mencius, and Mozi all lived during the second half of the Zhou dynasty in 3rd century BC. Humanism is the main aspect of Chinese philosophy. Chinese thinkers believe that the role of humans and their place in society is to be studied with care. Here are some of the main schools of thought. The yin-yang principles state that the combination and interaction of two opposites causes all universal phenomena. Confucianism is a system of philosophical and ethical socio-political teachings. Perhaps you have heard one of the following quotes before. Respect yourself and others will respect you. And the other one, before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. Now that we've explored the history of China, let's take a look at how Iran's past has led to their current state today. Iran, known as Persia in the Western world, has a larger history because of the country's boundaries outside of the actual country. The region called the Greater Iran extended to Egypt and the borders of ancient India. In 550 BC, the Achaemenid dynasty ruled the First Persian Empire. Until 636, Persia was mostly Greek-dominated, with the Arabs taking over in the 9th century. If we fast forward to the 20th century, Iran declared neutrality during World War II, but was the scene of heavy fighting during the war. In 1935, Iran was officially adopted as the country's name. The change of the name marks a shift in Iran's approach to development and progression. The Shah attempted to modernize and westernize the country with something called the White Revolution. This program called for social and political modernization, though was met with opposition movements. One prominent factor that affected Iran's current situation is oil. It was first discovered in 1908 in the southwestern province of Khuzestan. By the 1920s, Iran was one of the top 5 oil producers in the world. However, the industry was owned by the British firm called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Because of this third party, Iran only received small royalties from the profits made. In 1951, the Prime Minister of Iran at the time, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized the country's oil industry. This move launched the oil crisis in 1951 and proceeded to set off a worldwide oil crisis. This risky move from Iran set the country up for economic failure for many years and is the reason the country is still struggling today within the oil industry and economy as a whole. Currently, China and Iran are 2 very different countries. Iran is struggling to raise oil production and deal with problems in the Middle East. China is dealing with severe environmental repercussions. New data emerged that more than 80% of the water from underground wells used by farms, factories, and households is unfit for drinking or bathing. Pollution continues to affect the country because of China's rapid ascent to modernization. Although both countries are vastly different in terms of background and conflicts, they are experiencing similar things: a struggling economy, changing politics, and environmental concerns. Clearly, each country's history has contributed to their current state today. Large events from the past have all led up to the present day and are the reasons why China and Iran must deal with their current issues in ways that will prevent them from occurring in the future. Thanks for listening to this presentation on the impact of the past in China and Iran.